Hey everyone, welcome back to the Baseball Center. Mike Piazza is a household name, being known as one of the greatest catchers in MLB history. He had an illustrious 16-year career, being a 12-time All-Star, Rookie of the Year, 10-time Silver Slugger, and the holder of the all-time lead for most home runs by a catcher, with 427. Mike Piazza is now a Hall of Famer, but before the beginning of his outstanding and legendary career, that wasn't always the case. Let's dive deep into the beginning, rise, and accomplishment of one of the greatest catchers ever. Mike Piazza was raised in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, and was the son of his father Vince Piazza, who was Italian. Vince was a very successful businessman, obtaining a 9-figure net worth off the automotive industry and real estate. Vince grew up with his best friend and MLB manager, Tommy Lasorda, who became the godfather of Mike's brother, Tom. Due to Vince and Lasorda being close friends, Mike served as the bad boy for the Dodgers, the team that Tommy Lasorda managed for at the time. This grew his love for the game and encouraged him to play more. Vince saw how talented his son Mike was and encouraged him to work hard and play more ever since he was a boy. Vince hadn't gotten the opportunity to play when he was young, as he had to drop out of school at a young age to support his own family, so Vince implored Mike to make the most of the opportunity that he had. Because of the MLB connections that his father had, Mike was blessed with the opportunity to have the late, great Ted Williams give him hitting lessons in his very own backyard, where Ted saw his potential and told him to not change his swing. This motivation given to him by the greatest hitter of all time encouraged him to keep working, and he began reading Ted Williams' book, The Science of Hitting, which he used to become an even better hitter. After graduating high school at Phoenixville Area High School, Mike Piazza went on to play for the University of Miami Hurricanes, which seemed like a huge step in the right direction. Unfortunately, Mike received not a lick of playing time his freshman year. He was very upset and decided to transfer to Miami-Dade Community College in hopes of getting better and getting seen by other colleges to recognize his abilities. His first year, he played 29 games and hit .364 with 3 home runs and 23 runs batted in. Certainly good numbers for his league, but far from what major league teams look for in potential prospects. After finishing his junior college career, Mike's father asked for a favor from his best friend, Tommy Lasorda. He asked for the Dodgers to draft Mike Piazza in a late-round pick, just to help Mike keep his playing career alive. In the 62nd round of the 1988 MLB draft, being the 5th to last pick in the entirety of the draft, Mike Piazza was selected by the Dodgers, basically only as a favor to the father of Mike. For all this time, Mike was a first baseman primarily, being more of an asset to the teams he played on because of his hitting. When he was drafted and entered the minor leagues, Tommy Lasorda told Mike that, in order to increase his chances of making it to the big leagues, he should switch positions and become a catcher. Mike did just that and spent the next few years learning and improving his catching ability. Just for reference, catching is the hardest position in baseball. The catcher calls the pitches, is in charge of the field, has to squat for the entire game, has to catch and frame 100-mile-per-hour fastballs and 85-mile-per-hour curveballs, block pitches, and throw the ball from home plate to second base in under 2 seconds, not to mention the mental toll it takes on a player to do all of this, as well as hit 4 times a game. Transitioning to become a catcher isn't just an easy thing that is done. Catching, especially at a high level, is something that takes thousands of hours of practice, elite-level focus, and tremendous athletic ability. However, after attending a catching camp in the Dominican Republic shortly after he was drafted, Mike began to become an excellent catcher and proved that he had the defensive skills necessary to be a big-league player. Now, it was just a matter of whether or not his bat could catch up with major league pitching. As he began climbing the ladder of the Dodgers minor league farm system, his hitting kept improving as the competition got better. His first year in low-A ball, he batted .268. His second year in high-A ball, he batted .250. His third year, again in high-A ball, he batted .277, and in his fourth year in the minors, he made it to Double and Triple-A, batting a fantastic .350 through both leagues. The Dodgers, impressed at the abilities of their 62nd round pick and in need of depth of their catching, finally called him up to the big leagues on September 1, 1992. Mike had defied all odds. The percentage of players who get drafted as late as Mike and make it to the league is way below 1%. Mike had proven everyone, including the University of Miami, wrong. Piazza went 3 for 3 with a walk, smashing a double to center field. Mike would finish off the 1992 season with a .232 batting average, a home run, 7 runs batted in, 3 doubles, 4 walks, and 12 strikeouts. These aren't great numbers, but he proved that he had what it took to be a good major league player. Mike came out of the gates red hot, having an incredible rookie season where he batted .318 with 35 home runs and 112 runs batted in. He was an all-star and earned a Silver Slugger, Rookie of the Year, and even finished 9th in MVP voting. Piazza made a statement to the league and everyone watching that he was the real deal and would spend the next decade and a half showing everyone how great he was. Now, the only thing that would hold Piazza back was his team. The Dodgers were a sorry franchise during the 90s. The Dodgers would only make the playoffs twice and weren't even able to make it to the World Series during Piazza's tenure. At the end of his rookie deal, Mike Piazza wanted to get paid. He requested a 7-year, $105 million contract, to which the Dodgers would respond with an offer for 6 years and only $76 million. Piazza was furious with this and took it as disrespect from the organization he had played so well for. He was criticized by the media and was outspoken for his disdain of how the Dodgers organization treated their superstar. In May of 1998, the Dodgers traded Piazza to the then Florida Marlins with Todd Zeile in exchange for Manuel Barrios, Bobby Bonilla, Jim Eisenreich, Charles Johnson, and Gary Sheffield. Just 8 days later, after playing in only 5 games, he was again traded to the Mets in exchange for Jeff Getz, Preston Wilson, and Ed Yarmel. The Mets would end up being where Mike would call home for the next 8 seasons. He played remarkably well in 1998 for the Mets, but unfortunately missed the playoffs by only a game. The next 2 seasons, Piazza would lead the Mets to the playoffs, even making it to the World Series in 2000, only to lose to the juggernaut Yankees. Piazza set career highs during this time, hitting 40 home runs in a single season and batting in 124 runs. Keep in mind that he was doing all this as a catcher, a position known to be lackluster when it comes to offense. In September of 2001, the terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center shocked the world and brought the people of America, especially the people of New York, into a state of fear and upset. Major League Baseball suspended all baseball games for the next 10 days, stating that it was not a time for games to be played, but that the nation needed to heal from the awful events that took place. On September 21, 10 days after 9/11, the Mets faced off against the Braves in a division matchup in the city where the attack took place. The stadium was at full capacity, and the idea of playing a baseball game, the most American sport, shortly after America was attacked, was the perfect reason to raise the spirits of the American people. Late in the game, the New York Mets were down 2-1, and Piazza came to the plate with a man on base. What he did that at bat would be remembered for decades to come as one of the greatest, most important home runs ever hit. The stadium erupted. The Mets took the lead, and the idea of this one hit, this one home run, brought hope back into the hearts of the people of New York. That they may come back from 9/11 stronger and more united. The jersey that Piazza wore that night, with the American flag on the back, ended up selling for $365,000 and is now displayed on a rotating basis at the 9/11 Memorial Museum at Citi Field and the National Baseball Hall of Fame. In 2004, Piazza was aging, and to save his knees, he began splitting time between catching and first base. In May of that season, Piazza surpassed Carlton Fisk for most home runs by a catcher, with 352. After the 2005 season, Piazza would depart from the Mets, exiting his final game to thunderous applause from the Mets fans who loved him. After 3 successful seasons with the Padres and the Athletics, Mike Piazza finally decided to hang them up, putting together a legendary Hall of Fame career. Mike would be the last catcher to catch a pitch in Shea Stadium, the place where he dominated for many years, and also got the privilege to catch the first pitch thrown in Citi Field. While he spent half his career with the Dodgers, it is clear that he thinks of himself as a Met, and the Mets fans do too. After all of this, Mike Piazza is now a very successful businessman, owning lots of car dealerships and sports teams. Mike recently was the coach of Team Italy in the 2023 World Baseball Classic. The story of Mike Piazza is an incredible underdog story, where this player, who was doubted for so many years and sent away by so many coaches, never quit and ended up becoming one of the greatest of all time as a result. He had much help from his father, who pushed him to become better and opened doors for him that he otherwise wouldn't have been able to go through. But, at the end of it all, Mike Piazza is a legend who will always be remembered as an all-time great and is an inspiration to all young men who are being doubted and told they aren't good enough, as motivation to keep going and to keep working.